Welcome to the Gauntlet, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you are going to be listening to me, baby, review the new episode of The Mandalorian, the season finale.
Just you?
Just me, baby,
Okay,
only.
all right.
That's
We
how
have
it's going to go.
we have no work, guys. Let's
Yep.
go.
Leave. No, just kidding. That sultry voice, that sultry voice you just heard was one Elijah Middlesworth. Maybe you're watching the video. I don't know. Elijah, what is it about this podcasting schedule that you can't commit to a regular recording schedule?
I don't have to explain myself to you, guys.
Oh God, I thought you were actually going to get defensive, but you didn't, and I love it, and that's why you're here.
That's
Next
her off
up,
mic.
yeah. Next on the list, we have one Mikey Collins who has his microphone muted. Mikey, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing real good, real
Good.
good. Hey, you know that rug I had?
What? Where?
You know
where?
the
When?
one that really tied the room together.
Oh yeah,
You remember that one?
yeah. I got
What are
you.
you talking about?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Next on the docket, we have
Does it look like
Lazy-
a lady lives here?
nice marmot. We have one Ethan Maestri, the other half of PCP. Ethan, you scared me with your text message today when you said that we were going to have it out, and you didn't care how I felt about it.
Oh, here we go.
So, okay, buckle up,
we
ladies
have
and
that?
gentlemen.
Is that what happened?
I'm pretty sure, isn't that what you were saying? You were like, I'm gonna take a big giant dump on this episode, and you're gonna love it. A big steamy, a big old steamer on Mando season 3 finale. That's verbatim what you said in your text message.
I've been loading up on refried beans and nasty rice-a-roni Spanish rice for this very podcast.
Hey, rice brownie's pretty good.
Yeah, it is actually.
What's wrong with
You
you?
know, throw a
Oh,
little
it's
chicken-
great.
Yeah.
It's great,
Yeah.
but it's also
Not a fan.
devastating to the colon.
Yeah.
Mm.
So as you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna just kind of let our thoughts run wild with our takes on the season and how we feel about it, and we can just see kind of where the conversation goes. But tonight we're going to be taking a look at the finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian, where this is it, guys. Right, the fight for Mandalore is here. We're supposed to have this giant payoff. And, this is the conclusion in a lot of ways of this story and in some aspects. Like, certain large elements of the story have kind of come to a close. So, I'm ready to dig into it. So, as far as this episode goes, Ethan, I want to throw it to you first. Actually, I want to throw it to Mikey first. Yeah.
All right.
Mikey, I summon you. Sorry. What'd you think of this episode? You and I talked a little bit off mic. We texted a little bit, but what was your overall take on this episode? Because you've been kind of iffy on this season so far, right?
Yeah. In short, underwhelmed. In long, I'll get into it later.
Okay. So underwhelming from Mikey.
Yeah.
I just have to ask, you were pretty adamant about wanting to have Din and Grogu's story progress, right? The Mandalorian, this character that we've known for so long.
Yeah.
And obviously spoilers for this episode for those of you who are listening to this. So I just have to ask, did that aspect in particular underwhelm you, or was it just the whole episode as a whole?
As a whole, it did not deliver. And even in that, it's just a miss. It's a miss for me. I mean, you don't
know how else to say it.
It's hard to get it. I want to get into it, but it's
Okay.
just, I'm just
Okay, the grenade's about to go off. Put a pin
yeah.
in it. All right.
Just disappointed.
God. He's not mad. He's just disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, Mikey, think of the Queen, baseball. Queen baseball.
What?
Never mind.
Go to your happy place.
Go to your happy place.
The Queen.
The Queen. Oh, I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass the baton. I'm gonna pass the baton to Elijah now. Elijah, what's your thoughts on this episode?
I I'll keep it short too. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Picard season 3 finale was better. My opinion.
Did you and Ethan talk prior to this? Are you guys
No.
conspiring like the separatist leaders?
No. I just state fact.
Okay, so let me break this down because this is evidently something we're going to get into. Actually, we're going to hold it. So, in short, that's how you feel. Like you're indifferent. Like it didn't land for you either.
It wasn't so insanely good that it satisfied, me for the next season if there's going to be a next season. It was good. There was good aspects of it. It wasn't out of this world. Not to me.
Okay. All right. I respect that. I accept that. Ethan, deliver the grand slammy balamy. Yo, Emma just won a victory royale. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yo. Oh, God. Shut up, dogs. Quiet. All right, Ethan. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna keep this short. This is actually a good season, and I'm not disappointed with where the episode left us. Considering where the season started, and we can get more into this as we do our wrap-up discussion, but it does feel like the season was building to something completely different. And maybe they didn't know exactly how it was going to wind up. And then decisions were made, information was released, trailers, movie announcements, and then it almost feels like, and I know that's not how it was made, but it almost feels like the season was ended rapidly after that, in lieu of the fact that, we know we got other stuff to do now. And this season does kind of feel like it was truncated a bit in the last 2 episodes. Like they wrapped it up too quickly. And so that aside, I still am not unhappy with where the season ends up and what was presented to us. I think it was serviceable. It was good.
Ditto. Like that he nailed it. Like it was really, really good. It just, I wanted more. Like I yearned for more. It just the episode didn't seem full enough. It was spread too thin, and it didn't develop like it should have the last 2 episodes.
When Mikey says he was underwhelmed by it, it's like what's the cliche now is to just yell at him and say, shut up. We can't have anything nice, right? That's been this whole season. But when he says it now, it's like, I can see that.
Mhm.
I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dissect that then now. So, Mikey, where are you coming from? Like, what about this? Like, we're gonna throw it back to you, because you guys all three feel the same way, and I'm the minority here, because I was definitely the target audience. Like, I love this last episode, and I'll get into my thoughts as to why. It just more spoke to me on like a deeper Star Wars level, because like I saw some symbolism with some things, and whether that was intended or not, that's like what I felt. So I don't know. For me, it landed fine. I definitely can see. We'll get into it, but Mikey, let's just throw a point out there. What's like one aspect where you're like, okay, this doesn't land for me. Like this particular thing doesn't land. If you had to just rattle off one.
It's not a one thing. It's there's more that I really don't like about this episode than I do. Like it's not even like the nitpicky stuff. It's just like we just watched a whole season and this is it. Like, and I don't know. it's hard to just name one thing. That's kind of hard to do. It's a culmination of this whole season and a few things in this episode. It's hard to name just one.
Okay. Does anyone want to help him out?
One of my big things, which I think is going to be a lot of people's problem, is how quickly Moff Gideon was introduced and how quickly he was gone.
Dude.
I mean, he was here for 2 seconds, and we all knew that Moff Gideon was more than likely going to be defeated. But holy cow! I mean, that has to be record timing.
Yeah.
Hold on. Do you really think he's gone?
He's so
No.
not.
We
Yeah.
just saw a bunch of clones.
Yeah, no, he's not
Dude's
gone.
coming back.
I don't think he even died. I think it was just like because they show afterwards. They show a split second where he was. There's nothing there.
Yeah. Anytime there's
Andy
not a
had-
body, anytime there's not a body
Yeah.
on a pyre burning at the end of the show, they're coming
Exactly.
back.
Yeah, he's so he's so fine. But that's a big one.
He is
That
so fine.
that last fight, I hated it. That was the most boring fight I've ever seen in Star Wars in my life.
Wait, like the duel or like
yes.
because I really like the aspect of the TIE interceptors were really cool, and the dueling, the battle with the jetpacks was really cool.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, all three of them are Mandalorians. They never left the ground during that battle, not once, and none of them used any of their equipment. They're all Mandalorian. They have. They're like Batman, and all they're doing is slashing each other the entire time, and they don't use like the first 2 seasons shows all of his gadgetry, and nothing. Like no cool solution, no nothing. He just blasts her away, and she's just slashing at him. And it's like, oh, we're gonna be defeated. We don't have any other options at all. I'm like, yeah. I'm trying. I really try not to be nitpicky. Like it's frustrating because I know what they can do and I know what they're capable of. And then they show him like destroy. I don't want to get into the last part of it though to start off. That's the only thing. That's why I'm kind of holding back because I feel like there's a lot
that's the whole
there.
No,
that's the
Mikey,
whole point.
gloves off.
Just gloves off, man. Like that's
All
why I
right.
literally say the gauntlet.
Horrible
Like,
death. He had a horrible death. That was the dumbest death I've ever seen in my life. If he did die, he literally put his arms up and was like,
They're moving on to bigger things. Why would he be alive still? I mean,
dude, he could have been a dope villain. Like even without the whole Force thing too. Hated that. Like there's no way they ever would have worked. Like I don't understand. I don't understand the writing, and it just seems aimless. It's an aimless season with an aimless ending. Other than the fact of I've mentioned this before, the 3 main goals. Like and they accomplish them all in the worst, easiest ways possible. And I don't know.
All right, I'm
gonna get
take
out of
the-
breath
I'm gonna
if I
take
keep
the-
talking.
I'm gonna take the Dark Saber from you for a moment. Okay.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh
don't
wait,
get
it
me started
doesn't
on that.
exist anymore.
Gee, it's dude. What? How? Oh,
did you do that on purpose? You did that on purpose.
oh my god! How?
If you need to go, Mikey, a little more.
Okay, he he's Death Trooper basically, right? Exoskeleton can crush it. Get that? She's got her hand in there. It's made of Beskar. They can't crush that. Like it would destroy her hand while he's using it. And then, like there's so many little things. And the nitpicker, that's my new nickname, I guess. The nitpicker. That's my new handle.
Can you change that underneath
Yeah,
the screen?
yeah,
Yeah,
Dave,
that's
please?
my new
Zoom.
handle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, dude, like it's the easiest things they could have done, and it's all unsatisfying, underwhelming. I mean,
Okay. Let me
go
go
ahead,
from there.
go ahead,
On,
yeah.
on the Dark Saber, smartest decision they made in the entire show. Honestly.
I agree.
Honestly.
maybe, yeah.
That thing has been nothing but a pariah to the Mandalorian peoples. And to
Mhm.
see it crushed at the end was like, okay, now all the stupid speculation about Grogu wielding it in 500 years and leading the Mandalorian, all of that's done.
Yeah.
Now it's a meritocracy now, not a who holds the thing, right?
What is
He
meritocracy?
who holds the thing gets the meritocracy. Rule by merit,
Oh.
basically. If you're qualified and you demonstrate you're qualified, you get to lead the people. And Bo-Katan proved that. She does
Makes
not
sense.
have to have the Dark Saber.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that is now off the table. Or, she could rebuild it. Who knows?
That's what I was thinking. Or Grogu could. That's what I was going to say. I mean, he could pull a Rey
but the
and
fact-
rebuild
yeah.
Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, at the end of the series, when all Mandalore is standing in front of her, who gets to light the fire? Who's the most important person on Mandalore? It's Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
And she
it's
does
true.
not have the Dark Saber in her hand. And people are just following it because of that. They're following her because she's a good leader. So I thought where the Mandalorian people and where they ended up taking their planet back and Bo-Katan, that was all great. I absolutely was 100% on board with everything they showed there. Yeah.
Isn't it, by definition, though, isn't it already a meritocracy even with the sword? Because if they're going to follow the strongest leader, if they're the strongest, they'll have the sword.
Yeah, but we've had previous episodes of the Clone Wars and things like that where people that
Yeah, that is
didn't
true.
have the merit were in charge
Yeah,
just
you're
because
right.
they held the Dark Saber.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess that's right.
So yeah, as far as where Mandalore goes and how that ends up, I thought it was fantastic. One of the things I do want to nitpick on, I'll side with Mikey. Another thing that I've got, can we just get rid of red clad guards
Yeah.
just altogether? I mean, they do absolutely nothing. They did something in the last one, and then they totally forgot what they did by not being able to land a blow on Grogu. And that
Mhm.
I know he's the mascot for the show, and we all love Grogu. But these guys took down Paz Vizsla in a take charge, no holds barred. They were not messing around. And now the next episode, they're just messing around. And Grogu's hopping and skipping, and he should have been dead in seconds, honestly, considering what we just saw.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, so I mean, it's things like that remind you it's just fiction. It's just a
Yeah.
show, and there's always going to be a gimmick or something in there, and you have to take that along with the really good stuff that's in there too.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of how I felt. It was like when this episode ended, I was kind of like, "Oh, that's really it." Okay. And like I thought that it was gimmicky kind of how they use like the "that's all folks" on Grogu, but granted, we've seen that effect, where it zooms in like that. That's a classic Star Wars thing. So it's not
Yeah.
like we hadn't seen that before. It was just in a different fashion, and that was, I think, the only thing where I was kind of like, "Oh, like okay, that's really it,"
I think it was a good like mystery. Not so much a cliffhanger. It's like, okay,
they're leaving it open.
They're gonna go do some adventures. They got a house. They're gonna just be for a little while.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense if the rumor mill is true about what's his head leaving, the guy that plays Din. What's his name? Pedro Pascal.
I don't know if that's true because everything I've seen online says that they already have the script written for the next season and it's already ready to go. Like I don't know how much merit there is to that.
Yeah, but there's also supposed to be a movie, and we don't know when that movie's going to happen.
Yeah.
Before season 4 or after. I don't know, guys. I kind of felt like we're not getting season 4 for at least 3 years, maybe.
I agree.
We got too
And I
much
think a
content to
movie-
get to first.
Yeah, and I think a movie will happen before we have a season 4, if
If
there's
it
a
even
season
happen-
4 at
if-
all.
Yeah,
that makes
if it
me
even
so
happens.
sad.
Which that makes sense of how they would end it, because then you're not looking forward to a next season, and when the movie does come out, it's a
Yeah.
nice surprise.
exciting.
And then
Yeah.
and then they're going to release season 4 following the movie, and it's going to tie in at some point,
Right.
more than likely. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
I mean, I just I feel like I don't know. Like for me, this episode in particular was a culmination of everything we saw. There are some question boxes still for me, like what about those dragons they confiscated in the second episode? Like where are those bad boys out? So those have to have something in the future.
No,
Right?
they were in the Star Sorry about you.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. They're in the Star Cruiser.
We don't know.
Unless
They could have been
loaded them
offloaded.
onto one of the gauntlets.
They're
Yeah.
rotisserie
Chicken.
dragons now.
Yeah,
They're-
they're
Extra crispy.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be some sort of plan. I don't think we're done with Mandalore. I think this episode, in a lot of ways, is a primer for what's to come. And I think that's how it is. I think this entire season is really just a big tease. And I like being teased in that way of like, hey, there's some things coming. Like we got Zeb, we got we got so many things that point to Rebels tie-ins, things in each episode that we could get excited about. And to me, it's kind of like, oh, and on top of that, there's no telling what kind of content we're going to get in the future for Din Djarin and Din Grogu, but we know that they're out there doing something. So
Yeah.
in a way, I'm kind of glad. That it was. It's like, yeah, it's literally got a ribbon on it. It tied everything up, and I don't have any like questions as to like I thought everything was tied up nicely, and I think its biggest downfall was that it was safe. We were expecting something big to happen at the end, and nothing big happened at the end. They played it extremely safe.
I hear
and
you,
that
Gabe.
can be disappointing at times.
I hear you, but you also hear some of the opinions that are being expressed in the room, right? There's not just an overwhelming, oh my God, that was the best thing we'd ever seen. And how did we end season 1? How did we end season 2? This was awesome the way they ended those 2 seasons. They were allowed to tell a story because that was the only place you were going to get it. And the problem now with season 3, as I see it, as I've seen the whole thing come together, comes back to Kathleen Kennedy. They made the first 2 seasons stand alone. This was the series. This was how we were getting that story. Season 3 has been hodgepodge and up and down because Kathleen Kennedy has said, all right, we're doing movies. And it all has to tie together, and we have to leave all of this stuff open-ended. We can't really go anywhere with it because we have more storytelling to do in other media, in other forms. And I think that's why season 3 is suffering, is because now Disney is saying, we're not going to let you just tell your story. Now we have to market it, divest it, and go elsewhere with it. Yeah, exactly. And I very much feel like the up and downness that we have alluded to throughout the season is because of Disney, not because of Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and really great directors that directed these episodes this season.
I think that's kind of obvious, isn't it? I mean, everyone that at least is interested in it has obviously put their heart and soul into it. I mean, there's a lot of cool aspects to this kind of a whirlwind of a season. Like, it might not have all landed, but there's a lot of cool things that we saw that we never thought about before, and some things we never thought we would see.
And I mean, honestly, I do hear everyone's opinions in the room, but my opinion is that we don't work on television programs. We don't know the decisions that are being made. We don't know what the plan is. All we do is we receive. And yeah, you're right. Like the first 2 seasons were self-contained. I feel like this season had each episode like just had its own kind of self-contained story. And yeah, it was kind of hodgepodge together. But to me, it was like there were moments where I was like, oh my God, this is unique and interesting. And yeah, I mean, it is frustrating that like they do have to make it tie together all in one way. But I mean, I'm just going to let you guys do most of the discussing tonight because like I said, I'm the vocal minority, and to me, it landed. It's like, yeah, of course you would use The Mandalorian as another catalyst to save Star Wars yet again, because the only reason we're having this conversation is because of The Mandalorian. That's what they know people like, so of course they're going to rape it and exploit it at some point. Like, it had to happen, right, at some point?
No.
And now it's, like, very evident. No, I mean, it did have to happen. Like, I said this back, it did have to happen because
Why?
that's what happens
No,
with
it
corporations. Yeah, I mean, it didn't have to happen. I'm just saying, like, it was inevitably
what
going
you're
to happen. I said that back, like, in season 1. Like, it's sad. Yes, it's sad. But, I mean, have we learned nothing in a way? Like, this is what Hollywood does, right?
From what I've heard, Jon Favreau was so frustrated with this season with Kathleen Kennedy's fingers. He's actually threatened to quit several times because of this season. And so that's why he has already pre-written season 4. And he's like, this is how it's going to go. And we're not doing anything else, or I'm going to leave. That's
Yeah, and
that's the
it.
ball
This,
game. Yeah.
It definitely feels like this season was in the mud pit between the two forces pulling the rope on either side, right?
For sure.
It's this show, which we all love, is very much under threat. You know, there's going to be another season made. We know that, but it's very much under threat as to what it is and what it's going to be going forward because of corporate versus storytelling. And we're watching this play out, this tug of war that's taking place, and we don't know which way it's going to go. It's at this point, it's all in Dave Filoni's hands because he's got the movie, right? That's supposed to fold in this element of Din Djarin and Grogu and what's happening with the Mandalorians. You know, we have to wait and see where that goes. But at the end of the season, when we get that's all, folks, it very much feels like the darkness is closing in on the Mandalorian. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer about that, but it really is just up in the air now. And it's yet to be seen. Are we going to see these characters that we have grown to love? Are we going to see them in a good story going forward? Or are we going to see corporate win out and it's a vehicle for selling dolls and subscriptions and movie tickets? You know, and everything comes down to that. You're right. And it's just kind of sad that we're at that point now. The darkness has closed in to it.
And I mean, I guess, like for me, it's like, yeah, I don't want that to be the case. And since I've been let down enough times, it's like you learn to appreciate those moments where it is awesome. Like that fight in episode 7 when Paz does go down, like that is an epic moment. The beginning of episode 8, like when the Mandalorians like just flew into each other, that was like amazing to me. Like that, whenever I watched it the first time, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like this is like HBO level is what I was thinking in my mind. I was like, this is really interesting. And, like, I think I'm noticing a theme with myself as a Star Wars fan. It's like those little moments that remind me why I love Star Wars are more important to me than trying to appreciate every facet of it, I guess. And I think that's what we like consider our Star Wars, right? So, like in a way it's kind of like, yeah, I know that inevitably Disney is going to screw us. I've been in that mindset for a long time. So to have anything good at this point, through the entire journey of The Mandalorian, the sequel trilogy, through everything, the fact that we can have these moments that connect to these other shows, and it's like, yeah, it's sad because we do see, like, The Mandalorian is going to continue in some medium, but yeah, it has to, all good things have to come to an end at some point, unfortunately. And if we get a solid journey, like if we do get a movie and one more season after that, I look at this collection of content we have and it feels cohesive to me. I think about Moff Gideon's journey as the main villain, and it's like, yeah, I feel like this episode really mirrored a lot of old Star Wars moments. Like the entire episode is a mirror of A New Hope, like shot by shot. It's literally the same thing of like the, whenever Obi-Wan's sneaking around the ship, like, and even the dialogue is similar. Like whenever he's about to go, am I frozen? Whenever he's about to go fight Vader. So, and then I thought about it. I was like, oh, that's an interesting moment. And then I saw those shields, the ray shields again. And I was thinking, oh, those are dope. Where have I seen those before? Oh, I saw those right before Qui-Gon got murked. Both moments, I'm like, oh my God, Din is going to die. For sure. And then other things start coming to mind, like, oh my God, what if Grogu gets shot? And like, that's where his little Mandalorian plate comes into play. Like all this anticipation is building because the Mandalorians, the main characters, are sneaking around on the ship, and we have this massive fight going on outside. It kind of reminds me of whenever it was War on Mandalore in the last season of Clone Wars. And then like Darth Maul and whoever else was in the throne room there with him, like they have it out. Like they're fighting and all this stuff is happening, and it's like, wow, this feels right to me. Like, this is what I wanted. And I do have to admit, like, when the end of the episode does come, it's like, oh, like, okay, so Mando's just doing his thing. Like, it felt lazy to me, honestly. And I did have kind of a feeling of like, oh, like, that's it. Okay. All right. Well, at least they got me from point A to point B.
Well,
go for it.
yeah, it was serviceable, but nobody important died, so there were really no stakes.
Yep.
The Mandalorians very easily were able to take back their planet, and we thought it might be a little bit of a harder fight. It wasn't as hard, it seems. I don't think any of us really believe Moff Gideon's actually dead. So at the end of it, you're just like, I know there's going to be at least a movie and maybe another season.
Right.
And that's something that we didn't have at the end of season 1. We didn't know where it was going to go at that point, but it ended and it was satisfying. Right. And then season 2 ended and we didn't know if there really was going to be a season 3. And we certainly didn't know if Din Djarin and Grogu were going to be together ever again, because he was going off with Luke. Right. But it ended sad. Even though we were up in the air, it was satisfying. And this season ends and I'm fine with where everybody's at, but I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
That's kind of the, that's, I think, and I don't want to speak for the other two, but I mean,
I see
like
both
that's
sides of this. I'm with you, Ethan. I feel the same way, but I'm also with Gabe. The episode as a whole was really good until the ending. It was a good episode till the ending. So I can see both sides for sure. I don't want to seem like a teeter-totter, but
yeah, no, and I mean, I think it's good to, like, nothing can be all bad, nothing can be all good. Like, it's just not possible. But there is a middle ground, and it's like, I'm trying to find what I'm missing, but it's like, wait a minute, this is a fictional thing, and different parts of this are going to appeal to different people. Like, Star Wars means different things to different people.
Yeah.
And, there's some people that will just watch The Mandalorian, right? Because that's all they care about now. There's other people that are interested in the universe as a whole, but they pick and choose what time periods they want to be in. So I guess for me, it's like, I love The Mandalorian because it's a catalyst for more Star Wars. And I've recognized that from the beginning. It has felt like, this is a thing that they are using to propel this brand back to where it could used to be. And we just happen to get some good storytelling out of it. So I guess, I might have like the rose-colored glasses on and just be like, oh, well, like, Mandalorian can do no wrong at this point for me. But I kind of like that Mando is not the scapegoat, but kind of the poster child, right? For Star Wars in a lot of ways. Because without it, I mean, do we get Andor? Do we get the Bad Batch? Do we get, like, you know what I mean? Like, go ahead.
I think we get Bad Batch. I don't think we get Andor though, but man, I think I'm more with Gabe on this one because I love the very ending. I think that's a great ending because, especially like you're saying, even though they do have season 4 written and there is going to be that big time gap, that is a satisfying for me. That is, but it's not deserved at all from this season. I'm like, we did all of that, and then this is the good ending I get, but it's like, how did we get here? This is not
one thing. Go ahead, Ethan. Sorry.
Well, I want to put this forward because I said I was going to do this contrast, so I'm going to do it here. And since you have seen, I assume, Picard season 3's ending, I want to bring you in on this. Contrast the two finales in your mind. Just contrast this finale we're talking about here with what Star Trek did.
Okay. I mean, they're
no spoilers.
As far, I won't give any spoilers, but as far as the last 2 episodes go, they're almost identical. Honestly, I feel like Picard did it better. Picard's known, Star Trek, like that type of Star Trek is known to be ultra whimsical. I mean, it was made in the 80s. I mean, the bridge had carpet in it. There was not There was not any Durasteel anywhere. So whatever little nostalgia, funny, whimsical things they did in Picard, they nailed it. And they hit the nostalgia hard, did a really good job.
Let me ask you this. The story that they told throughout that season, and then when the final credits roll, how did you feel about that season as a whole compared to Mandalorian?
I felt extremely satisfied.
Yeah.
Extremely satisfied at the end. And the way that they ended it too, the mirror image between the two shows, I thought it was great.
Yeah. And I understand, and there's probably going to be a lot of people out there that might be listening to this to say, well, it's Star Wars versus Star Trek. You can't have that argument. And I hear you. But what I'm saying is the way that Disney has impacted how the Mandalorian story is being told is, I'm contrasting that versus Paramount just saying it's the last season. You guys that love Star Trek, it's your show. Do what you want. And with those reins, those corporate reins taken off, we got a better story than any of the previous 2 seasons of Picard.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm contrasting that with, we got 2 really great seasons of Mandalorian. And now when Disney's hopes, dreams, aspirations are riding on this thing doing really well, now it seems like it stumbles a little bit because the reins have been tightened up. And I'm using that as a comparison.
So are you suggesting that no good storytelling can come from corporate?
That's exactly
figures?
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm
Shocking.
I'm just saying that once the impetus for telling a story becomes money, and that's going to determine the future of it. Well, Gabe said it best. This season felt safe because it allows them to go to the next chapter more easily.
And because they're not allowed to storytell, because if they truly storytell and tell how an adventure should actually be, certain people that are going to make them money later can't die, and that's how good storytelling happens is.
And there it is. That's the crux of where it's good. It's just not satisfying because it doesn't feel like a real story got to be told. And I know that's me projecting what ifs and possibilities that may or may not have been tossed around in the writer room, but it does, by the public outcry, seem like, maybe it suffered a little bit from playing it safe. Whereas like at the end of Picard season 3, they knew they weren't coming back and they went whole hog, pardon the expression, balls to the wall, told the story they wanted to tell, and it was awesome.
It landed. It landed really good.
It landed. And here's the thing. Season 3 Mandalorian ends. I'm not terribly excited. I mean, if they never came back to Din Djarin and Grogu, then I can just forever picture them by the water in front of his cabin. And I'm good there. I'm not hungering for more. The end of Picard season 3, I know that crew's not coming back. I want more though. And if I can't have the original crew, then the other characters they introduced that were so good, I want to see them. Right?
They have. That's a whole other story. They have to, but that's a whole other topic.
But that's the thing about Mandalorian season 3 is the show ends and it's like, I can move on to Andor or Ahsoka. If they're going to tie it in, that's fine. But I can step off from here. It's very much that in-game feeling when the MCU ended that story run. It's like at that point, I can separate from those characters and I'm good. Man. And this is kind of I don't like that. I want to stay invested, but I don't have. I don't feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, okay. To use your, is Bo-Katan not a good character?
That's a great character.
Okay, this season is literally just as much her season as it is Din and Grogu's.
Right, but it should. Here we go with the whole Boba Fett thing. It should have been a Boba Fett season. This should have been a Mandalorian season.
She is She is a Mandalorian. We talked about that in nauseam.
So
these past few episodes about who even is the Mandalorian. That's a theme we've had through this podcast the whole time.
dude, we followed Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars series,
Yeah.
and where we saw her story's done. She's got what she wanted. Mandalore's back. She's in charge of her people. Yeah, there's stories that could be told after that, but they don't have to be told.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I just feel like it would be a waste if they didn't. You know, like why even tell the story at that point?
yeah. That's where I'm differing from you, Ethan. Like they're at a point where I'm just like they're just chilling at that cabin. Now he can just be a space cowboy again. That's the content I want to see.
Mhm.
Like that's exactly the season 1 Mando. That's
Well,
what
he even said
I
that.
want.
He even said that in the episode.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm a
he's
bounty
like,
hunter by trade.
We're bound
so
to, yeah.
yeah.
That's all I want. Like, and the Mandalore, the fight for Mandalore, that's awesome. I love that was part of the show, but it's also the catalyst of, I think, the downfall of why, because they're just like, well, we got to involve all these people, and like you're saying for the movies and stuff. But man, if they just would have kept it simple, that would have been the simpler the better. That would have been so sick, but they didn't. So
Well, there's a reason why spaghetti westerns died.
I know, man. Nobody loves them except me.
Yeah.
I do.
It's true.
So you get another season of 8 episodes of spaghetti western Mandalorian. I'm with you. I'd watch
in.
it. I'd
Yeah.
watch it. But I guarantee you people start to sour on it by the time that 8 episode series is
I
done.
don't understand why stuff like that is so good. Like that
That'd
is
be
just
so
amazing
cool. It can be.
content.
Firefly
Well, and
Star
I-
Wars.
But it
Especially
doesn't
the
feel
way
like
that they did
there's-
It doesn't sell subscriptions anymore.
Yeah. Nobody has. Yeah.
Everyone wants the tie-in. Everyone wants the vintage feel. They want the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
nostalgia. That's what they
But
want.
that's
But I
everyone
agree,
wants
Mikey.
that.
It would be
I want it.
great if they would just go simple like that. It would be
man,
cool.
and that's
I would
the
really
thing.
like it too.
Yeah, that's the thing about Star Wars too, because like there's so many different flavor, even with like this season. Like there's so many different flavors of this whole universe. Like like Gabe said, every episode felt like its own story and all of that. But this show is its own story. Like there is people that want to watch that, and they don't have to do it. Like if they want to skip a couple years and do a season of it, that's fine. But you don't got to mess with the formula and make it something that it wasn't, and it's not. Like in that, I don't want to watch like the word hodgepodge thing of a bunch of different stories. That they already have that. There's so many different stories in Star Wars. They don't have to mess with one season of 8 episodes. It's just like tell a cool story in that, and then tie it in somewhere. But it's just
Yeah,
it's just
it's just-
disappointing.
The
I
problem
feel
is-
like.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ethan.
Well, I was going to say, TV just isn't made that way anymore.
I
Used to,
know.
if you loved Bonanza, you could watch 2 seasons, disappear for a couple of years, come back, and feel like you're still watching the same show 3 years later, right?
Yeah, but
That's just not TV now.
but that's the difference, though. There's hundreds of episodes of that. We only get 8 a season.
Yeah.
8. Like, and they waste so much. In my opinion, they waste so much time with other stuff. And I'm like,
I hear you.
you
Do you
proved
think
you could do
they've-
it.
Yeah. Do you think they wasted episodes in the first 2 seasons?
I don't think they wasted them. No, they were slow, but I think that's part of the feel of this show.
Okay, so you would rather have like
Yes.
Frog Lady and Spiders over
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry,
I
that
would.
was an awesome episode.
I would love to. I would love to watch her story more than any. I can't even tell you any of the side stories in this entire season. None
I'd rather
of them
see
hit.
Frog Lady than Lizzo.
Yeah, tie her back in the 3rd season, for sure.
You know,
would-
that's the thing that makes me the most mad about season 3 is I did not get a Bill Burr episode.
Oh my
thank
gosh, dude,
you.
he was so good.
Why was he not invited back?
he was so good?
Such a good
Such a
character.
You want to talk about waste? There you go.
Yeah, think of that episode. Think of that episode in that season. Like that was so good. Where was any of that in this season except for
Yeah.
the last 2 episodes? Like there was no missions. There was no like the prisoner. Think of that episode in the like. There's so many episodes like that, and they could have did stuff and still tied stuff in, but it's so random. Everything in this season, and it's annoying. It's so annoying, but I still love this show.
I think Gabe has slumped farther down into his chair since we
Yes.
first started.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry,
I've
Gabe.
been slowly watching him deflate for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
but here's
there's
the thing.
there. I just feel like there's no pleasing you ever. Like there's always something. It's like we've been raped by the mouse repeatedly. It's not gonna change, guys. Get used to it.
It could
Be
change.
happy with what you get. Or the
No.
come here, boys. Ho, ho, here, boys. I mean, it's happening, and it's like, yeah, please, Uncle Mickey, don't hurt me yet again,
The only thing is,
sexually.
when you're just happy with what you get, you're just gonna get more of it. You're just gonna get more of the stuff you don't like.
Well, I think like, yeah, I don't know. Like, and of course, like, I'm not discounting anyone's opinions. I just really think I went into this season of TV with like just right expectations for me personally this time, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything immaculate, honestly, because I didn't like season 2 that much other than the ending.
Blasphemy.
I
And, hey,
was bored.
The beauty
Yeah.
the beauty of that is that's your opinion, and that's
Yeah,
what makes you a Star
exactly.
Wars
No
fan.
one's
Like,
exactly. No one's
And-
right. No one's
yeah.
wrong. It's
No,
And I
we're
feel
right.
like
We're right.
yeah, you're
I-
right. You're right.
Yeah, and we actually talked about this the other day, Gabe, when we were like, let's play some video games together. It's just like you like a game that has a lot of variety in it and stuff. It seems like, and a lot of stuff to do, whereas I like more simplistic stuff, like with
Yeah.
the story. Like I don't like the jumping around in different stuff. I like to have a defined and direction that we're going, and that's
Yeah.
I think that's the disconnect. 'Cause where I just don't enjoy that in the shows that I.
That's a
you know?
good point, Mikey. I think I relate more to feel of like, scenes, and like I'm actually not really concerned with the overarching thing in a lot of ways. Like, I just need some of it to connect. It doesn't all have to connect for me. So in my mind, I think like, okay, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, there's something there between them for sure. Like, them being together with Grogu is significant. Grogu using the Force to protect them both is significant.
Yeah,
so it's
dude.
like there's
they're-
potential,
Yeah.
for like the future. It's like, okay,
definite.
and
mom
it's
energy.
like even whenever I was talking about like, oh, this felt a lot like A New Hope to me, in the way they like mirrored these scenes. It's a feel thing, and it's like feeling a certain way is more important to me than it all making sense, because guess what, guys? It's space wizards and laser swords and black laser swords and blasters. But in the same right, I'm not saying that your guys' arguments of it being like, oh yeah, this doesn't really satisfy me, or this doesn't really land for me, or like I could be done after this. I resonate with that too. If I'm right, I'm with Ethan. If Grogu and Din Grogu are not Grogu, if Din Djarin and Din Grogu are at their pond, like you were saying, Ethan, doing some bounty hunting, and I get to see them in a comic book, God forbid a game, anything, that's great. If we're moving on to something new where I can have this nostalgic feeling, but still have it like come full circle and be like, oh yeah, this is identifiably Star Wars. This moment is making me feel like this is Star Wars. It may not all land, right? It can't. Like, there's things in the OG trilogy where I'm like, yeah, I still hate this. You know what I mean? And I think that adds to kind of like the charm of Star Wars a little bit. Like, I can't think of a perfect Star Wars story.
Have you seen Rogue One?
Oh my God. tearing that
I'm going to be honest here.
tearing
I'm
that
going to be
wound
honest.
back open.
I have lost the pulse of the conversation for the last 10 minutes because in my head I've been writing a movie called House of the Mouse that is like a horror exploitation film. So ever since that Mickey comment, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
yeah. Send me the script. I'm in.
Yeah.
Mikey's got a good
I
Mickey
got
voice.
cash, money front.
If
All
only
right,
we knew
gentlemen.
somebody with a production company.
If only. Who knew? Not me. So, gentlemen, I have a new tier system. And just for the record, this is going to be... We're not going to record anything new for a couple weeks. We have some shows that are coming out. But I'm tired. Like, I need a break. And I think, it's great to do this week to week. And, I'm excited when we have these sprints. And we're going to have another sprint when Ahsoka comes out. which is when? June?
August.
August.
June is
So-
Strange New Worlds. Elijah, I need to talk to you.
Okay.
Anyway, we can.
So August, we'll be doing this exact same thing, and we'll have a show come out every couple weeks or so. That's the goal. But I'm just saying that now, so I don't have to say it later. But when it comes down to it, I want to have like a new rating system. Okay? Is this just streamable? Is it wish I had it on VHS? Because there's some movies where I'm like, man, like I went to Elijah's. We recorded a podcast and talked about this very thing. Watching Hook on an old TV with a VCR, and it's like the turn it on, it goes, psst, psst, psst,
Yep.
lights up. There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
And there are so many movies where I'm like, wow, I wish I could have like experienced this on that platform. You know what I mean? So it's like a step up. And then, in
Dude,
my opinion,
I saw
this is
Hook in theaters. It was awesome.
that's
I did.
awesome. Ethan's so much better than us, guys.
Yeah.
And then
No,
to
no,
me,
he's just old.
oh, it came from Mikey this time and not me.
Shut up about the sun, Mikey.
So, and then the top one is buy it on Blu-ray.
Where does dumpster fire land?
There is no negative. There is no negative anything. The lowest
Well-
tier is streamable only.
We'll
Streamer,
make up our own. We'll make up our
streamable
own.
VHS.
Yeah, and VHS is more of like an idea. Like, yeah, this means something to me, and like I hold this close to me. You know what I mean? Like I like it, and I wish I could have experienced it in this medium. You
Is
know,
it
like
in is it as a season or just this episode?
the whole season.
Jim.
Dude, could you imagine having the Mandalorians on like box set VHSs? That would be so dope.
That'd be kind of cool.
Right? That would be amazing. If they released something like that, I would buy it for you, Elijah, and live vicariously through you because I don't have room for that many VHS tapes.
I have I have a solo story on VHS tape. Just saying.
Okay.
Well, I'll
Ethan?
go first with and rate this thing. I would not buy it on VHS, but I wish I could have recorded it direct off air onto a VHS tape.
Oh yeah.
So that
I
you
would
would have had it.
have it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my rating for it. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Elijah?
Same. I'm gonna go ditto with Ethan.
Mikey?
Yeah. Same, yeah. All Star Wars content is better on VHS.
You're not wrong.
You're not
Honestly,
wrong.
I might have liked Rogue One more if I would have seen it on VHS.
It is
Rogue
such a-
One would have been awesome.
Such a good
Dude,
Right?
Solo.
like-
With a little magnetic track line at
Yes.
the bottom. Yes.
Dude.
No,
and like, you know,
awesome.
like kind of, you know, and it's like you can see it's like curling over the screen because the TV
Mhm.
is round. It
Same
just
for
hit
Andor.
different. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Andor, but it just hits different, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, you know. I'm buying this on Blu-ray for sure.
You know, all you guys are being called old right now for
Yes.
subscribing to this VHS thing.
Yes. I
Well,
know.
You know, it's okay.
Who's in their 30s? Nope,
I'm not.
not me. Are you, Gabe?
No, not yet. And Ethan's in his 40s.
30s? What?
Oh god.
We skipped that
So-
one.
After all of that discourse, right? Everybody feel better? Nerd therapy over, right?
No.
No.
I
Mikey's
felt
like,
good going into this. I was, like I said, we sat on the couch. It was running, and Eli and I both looked at each other, and we're like, "Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. It's good."
I think this is probably
Didn't
my
have to be
favorite.
incredible.
I think this is probably my favorite season as a whole, honestly.
Hey.
Good lord.
I mean,
Guys,
okay.
he's just saying that to troll you.
I'm
Don't-
not
don't fall
because
victim.
here's
Oh,
why.
he's being serious.
We have rumblings of getting Mandalore back together. Isn't that been the
Elijah,
goal
I'm
for
trying
a
to save
long
credibility for the show. Come on.
Okay,
He lost it
whatever.
a long time ago.
I disagree with you guys, but that's okay. That's okay. I would much rather watch this season with that first episode whenever that dragon literally comes in and swoops the kid out. And like, yeah, I would much rather watch that, I think. I don't know. It's probably tied with the opening episode of the series. Honestly,
I was gonna say that's the same episode, but way better.
Yeah, no, the first episode is probably my favorite
It's
episode. But
what's going to be curious about this, guys, is I think you're almost it's almost gonna be worthwhile to revisit this 6 months to a
Yeah.
year from now,
Probably.
and just see after we've all had a rewatch maybe and let it simmer. I'm curious where everybody's gonna be.
It seems to always do that, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
we always go back to the things we hate. At first, it was the prequels. Everyone hated the prequels, and then as we got farther away from those being released, and then the sequels were getting close, then the prequels really got a hit.
Has anybody rewatched Book of Boba Fett in like the last 2 to 3 months?
I was just about to ask you
I
guys
was-
about something.
I was thinking
after
about
the
it.
show. So
I need to.
yeah. Anyways, we'll discuss, but ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, we want to know what you thought of this season as well, because if you're listening to this and you made it all the way through, Star Wars probably means something to you. So tell us your story, your sweet, sweet nothings, into the ear that is the comment box, please, because I'm gonna read it. Make me cry.
Whisper to that comment box.
Yes, you whisper straight to it. You do
Sweet,
it so
sweet
good.
nothings.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Wannabe Network. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. Ethan, did you show up literally every week?
Did I? I might have.
I don't
No,
know.
I
need
missed
to go
one.
back.
I missed one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
How-
the first one I was on, he wasn't on.
Yeah, there you have it.
I might have missed
So-
2. Yeah.
Lige, where can people find you? Do you want to be found?
I do. You can always find me. Creep to your left on all platforms.
Okay. Ethan?
Pleased to report there's an episode of Geekly Retrospect in the can waiting to be released on this here feed. So, keep watching and keep an eye on the Geekly Retrospect Facebook page. Episode 1 or issue 1 of the Geekly Retrospect will be dropping soon.
And Mikey, do I even need to ask?
Nah, I mean, if you want to find me or you can catch me outside, how about that?
Oh my God. Once again, I do have Mikey's home address. I can in fact get that to you if you need to mail him something. So, thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you sometime in the future. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
So long.
And farewell.